one of my earlier trades. Half of it got delayed by life events. I made a trade in July, and it took until middle of January to get my end of it. But it wasn't like he just disappeared. He called and explained what was going on, so all's good. That worked out in the end. I got my end of the trade was a full-sized double bit axe head, and this one is in pretty good shape. He said that it was rusty, and I told him to send it just the way he found it, dirt, rust and all, and that I'd take care of it. I would rather see what it started off with and do the descaling myself. This color here is just on the surface. There isn't anything major. I've already had it in the tank and taken off the most of the bad things, and the surface is overall it's smooth. A little bit of sandpaper work, and this will look like a new axe. I wanted to see the dark metal on the outside. That is the hardened steel line. Inside by the eye is mild steel, and the steel that's on the outer edges is the hardened section that's been welded. It's been forge welded into the rest of the metal. So even though it looks like it stops here, there's actually metal back in further, because they cut a groove. They cut a groove into the cheeks, and then they fit the hardened steel on the inside, and then they weld it back together. So even though you see the steel back here on this side, there's still steel further in. This is more than likely, this is a true temper axe. And true temper up until the 70s was there was a group of axe makers that they started off on the East Coast, and there was a bunch of them. At one point there was over 100 axe makers, and then they started to be absorbed, and then they ended up being part of three groups or four groups, and one of them was the part that True Temper ended up being with, and then part of that operation, part of that manufacturing went to Mexico. And when you see a Trooper axe today, that's it's a remnant of that branch of the company that went south. But this is a, if you look at the cheeks, of this axe, it's arched right here in the middle. And the newer axes, they're all flat, straight across the cheeks and the face. So this axe, that's a feature that was dropped out of modern manufacturing in around the 1960s. So that some of it held on into the 70s, but people stopped using axes, so there wasn't really that many people that actually used an axe for their primary wood cutting work. So what they did was they cheapened them up with an axe that's rounded in this area right here. It not only narrows, but it spreads out the surface area. So you can, what it'll do is it'll add a little bit of wedge action when you're splitting. But what it does is it creates a shape that's not the rounded shape will stick less hard. You can get the axe back out of the wood easier with the rounded shape. That's the main purpose. And it leaves a little bit more mass on the head, so that when you're actually using it, it's doing what you want it to do. That's a detail that the companies like Fiskars and what are them other ones that sell those fiberglass handle axes that look like a wedge on the end of a stick. You know, that's if you replace the wedge shape with a rock, you know, you're going right back. You're going right back to primitive man, tying a rock to the end of a stick, and calling it an axe. I don't know why they between the end of the 1800s until the middle of the 1900s, people were using axes, and they did a really good job of designing axes that actually cut. So I don't know why people have to reinvent things that already do a good job. But that's my rant. That's one of the things that just gripes me. But the way around it is just by is to locate equipment that's got some age to it, and you can bypass all the nonsense. So this is my next project, and I'm still tossing a coin on whether to use wood handle or the fiberglass handle, and I'm starting to lean more and more to the fiberglass, because I need what I need is an axe that I can take out and use. So when I'm felling trees, when I'm running the chainsaw, I need an axe that can handle a little bit of abuse, and the fiberglass handle provides that, where the wood handle, they just tend to break. So the next woodworking projects are to rehab these old these old wedges that it came across. This one's actually meant for wedging metal parts, but I can make this work for wood too. This one is meant for splitting firewood, and you use an actual sledgehammer, or the back end of a splitting maul has got a sledgehammer hand section. So I've got 4 or 5 of these. I'll clean these up. Mainly what it is, just knocking the rust off of it. And then it's got, these are mild steel wedges, so the ends tend to mushroom when you hit them with a hammer. So I'll clean the mushroom edges off so that I don't have pieces of metal flying, and put them back to work. Okay, I think I've talked long enough. We'll catch you later.